Welcome to episode 100 of the Blooms and Barnacles podcast, where we talk about all things related to James Joyce's Ulysses. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Dermot.
And you can see us.
For once.
So to tell you a little bit about the episode today, we had a chance to interview a gentleman named Martin Mooney. He, I would say, is a self-trained expert taphologist. Dermot, do you know what a taphologist is?
A toffee expert?
No, we did not get any toffee during the making of this episode. It's a tombstone expert. And I say self-taught because he, I think, is a lifelong resident of Glasnevin, certainly of Dublin, and he has been studying Glasnevin Cemetery in his own way for many years, and I think probably knows more about the tombstones that are there and also not there than maybe the folks who run Glasnevin Cemetery do. He's an expert on unmarked graves. He's very good at, and as you'll see, some very prominent unmarked graves he's hunted down and found in the graveyard. And so he walked me around, and Dermot too. Dermot is there behind the camera. But he walked us around Glasnevin and showed us a bunch of prominent graves. Some are related to Ulysses, some are not. But since we're working our way through the Hades episode right now, I think this will give you a really strong idea of what Glasnevin Cemetery is like if you can't get to Dublin and visit it yourself. So I'm really, really proud of this episode. Martin was a fantastic person to talk to. Really one of the most knowledgeable people we've ever had on the show. And I again, strongly recommend, if you can, watch our video, because yeah, it's great. I don't have another reason. It's just great. You'll see lots of the places that are talked about in Hades, many that are not. Paddy Digman's grave?
Yeah. Well, the grave that Paddy Digman...
Oh, the Matthew Kane grave?
Matthew Kane grave.
Yeah,
yes.
We definitely visit Matthew Kane.
Yes.
I think we visited Skin the Goat. It's been a few months since we recorded this. We've sat on this one because we wanted something special for this 100th episode. Martin is a 1 in 8 billion person, so he's definitely it. And if you like it, I got the sense at the end of our talk that he had a lot more to say, so if you really like this one, let us know, and maybe we could do a follow-up in the summer or fall or whenever. So if you hate it, just keep that to yourself. All right, we've got our usual business to go through, and then we will turn you over to Martin. So we are a blog as well as a podcast, and you can find our blog at
bloomsandbarnacles.com.
That's right, and I am working on a new blog post. It should be up very soon. We finished the Aeolus episode on the blog, so I'm excited about that, which means we are now entering the 8th episode, which is entitled The Lestrygonians. I thought you might remember because we're working on artwork for it.
Brain not work, brain tired, brain
The
cold.
Lestrygonians is corresponds to an episode in the Odyssey. Do you remember what happened when Homer met the Lestrygonians?
Yes, cannibalism.
Cannibalism, yes. People got eaten. So the blog post is about the Homeric parallels between the scene in the Odyssey and Bloom's lunch hour in Dublin. So check that out. And Dermot's done some artwork for it. Could you tell us a little bit about your artwork?
Yes, the artwork will be on the subject of Greek food.
Okay, just leave it at that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want to see that and you want to read my post, go to
bloomsandbarnacles.com
and give it a read. It should be up in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the artwork for this episode?
Yeah, just be a basic, simple illustration of Glasnevin Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Something simple and elegant.
Sure, something with a sense of place to it, so we get an idea of what it's like. Get the round tower in there too.
Mm-hmm. And if you'd like to see that, once again, you can go to
bloomsandbarnacles.com
and check out the show notes for this episode. It'll also be on all of our social media. You can find us at Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Normally, we don't have a visual, so you're going to see my secret, which is
She cheats.
I have notes. So
cancel her.
I've been teasing for the last couple weeks that we have a big announcement, and so it's announcement time. What is our announcement, Dermot?
We're going to try to do a Patreon page.
Yeah, so we've been working on this show for 100 episodes. It's about 4 years and change. It takes a lot of work to produce 2 episodes a month. And so basically, I've been doing all of this work just for the fun of it, and I do enjoy doing it, but we'd like to get compensated for the work that we do. I'm hoping we can do another 100 episodes. We've had such a good experience with this. But as we are a smaller show, like Coca-Cola or people like that aren't like coming out of the woodwork to advertise on our show or anything. Not that I really want them to. So what a lot of independent podcasts do is they will use a website called Patreon, Patreon. And so right now we take donations via PayPal, and we really do appreciate those. We'll thank you folks in a minute. And some people have taken it upon themselves to set up a recurring donation. We've never asked anyone to do that. If you like the show, we do, we ask if you can to give us a little money. So what Patreon does is Patreon allows you to set up subscriptions. So we have 3 tiers of subscribing. There's $5, $10, and $25, or it's a little bit different in euro. But those are the tiers that people kind of donate to us in anyway. So we tried to match that. And the difference between subscribing on Patreon versus giving to us on PayPal, if you subscribe to our Patreon page, we're going to start making some bonus content every month. So to start with, our plan is to release a bonus episode once a month. It will be Ulysses or James Joyce related, but it'll be something that kind of wouldn't fit into the main timeline of our podcast. So what we've done in the past is just kind of put those episodes in as part of the mainstream of podcasts. So a really excellent example of this would be the recent Henrik Ibsen episode we did. I was so happy with how that came out. It was great talking to Paul, but it does kind of break up the flow of our Ulysses conversations. So I'd like to take topics like that are a little tangential and put those on our Patreon, and so you'll get that bonus content. It'll still be great Blooms and Barnacles content, interviews or other topics that are related to Ulysses, and will give you some insight into his work, but maybe are kind of outside the text of Ulysses itself. So I really think that is well worth your time. So we'd love you to go over to our Patreon. I'll put the link in the show notes and check that out. If you want to give a one-time donation, I'm going to keep that PayPal link live. And it, I will put the Patreon link in the show notes of this episode, and we would really appreciate that. So that will go live on December 21st when this episode comes out, and our first bonus episode will come out in mid-January, and we've got a really great idea for that. We'll tell you more about it once it's ready to go, and we hope that you can keep supporting us that way. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, basically we'd like to be paid for our work. It's Dermot works really hard on the artwork. I work really hard on the research, and yeah.
Well, it's nice to be able to do it on a solid basis and not have to worry about running off to get other jobs, because this is kind of a real job at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, and we know plenty of people who do make a living on their online content, and we'd like to try to be one of them. So we'll see. Yeah. If not, I keep doing it either way. So
yeah. And none of the old free content goes away. It all stays.
That's right.
And you're not going to lose anything. It's just more stuff if you want to.
There will always be a robust free version of Blooms and Barnacles, but we hope that we can make some additional content that will, because the people who do support us, we want to give something back to you, because you've given so much to us. If you've been following us this year, you know the money we've saved from the show has really been life-changing in a positive way. So we want to give back to you, and one way we can do that is bonus content. I have some ideas for things we might do in the future. I know Patreon has live stream possibilities and like Q&A features. There's lots of other stuff, so we might play with that depending on how many Patreons we get. The sky's the limit. So, and we want to throw in a few shout outs. So first of all, we do want to thank all of our recurring donors. You really do help us keep the lights on around here. Even though think the only light we have on right now is the window. So that is support from God. But we also like to thank our donors for their support too. If you'd like to support us in a non-monetary fashion, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Those have kind of trickled to a halt, but they really do help people find the show, because when people aren't reviewing our show, Apple kind of knocks it down out of its rankings, and it's actually a really important way that you can support us. So if you don't feel like writing something out, just go on Apple Podcast. I know it's Apple, but like they still kind of control the whole podcasting world. Go in there, give us 5 stars, and if you leave us a written review, we will read it. So we really do appreciate those, and they do help. Like, that's not fluff, that's a big help. And finally, if you want to keep in touch with us, check out our newsletter. Please do all that stuff. It'll help us keep in touch. All right. A couple of things from listeners or readers that we wanted to share. The first is we talked about Nelson's Pillar in our last episode, and we got a really nice memory from a man named Seamus on Facebook about his experience with the pillar.
I was a young lad coming home from school and went up the pillar for a lark with a school friend. We either paid a halfpenny or a penny, as it was before decimalisation. The thrill of reaching the top, the winding granite stairs, the caged enclosure at the summit. The view, of course. The pillar was a striking monument for Dubliners, where buses departed from and couples met. Remember it being blown up too. A big loss for the city. I was 12 years old and cycled daily to my school on Great Denmark Street, travelling up O'Connell Street from the south side of the city. I remember crowds of people swarming the area of the pillar, and all that was left of the monument was a huge stump of granite blocks. People were trying to grab stone fragments as mementos. The army subsequently blew up what remained of the pillar in a controlled explosion, which created further damage to the buildings on O'Connell Street. Well done, Irish Army.
All right. Thank you for your memories, Seamus. Those are really valuable. And it seems like a long time ago it got blown up, but it is within living memory. So
yeah, my dad had climbed to the top of it too. He remembered being... And they're very jealous of him because, it's a view. It's an amazing view. Gone.
Yep. Yeah. It's a specific view of Dublin that you cannot see unless you're a seagull. All right. And we wanted to know, too, from our listeners, so if they, if they decided, we don't want the spire anymore, let's put up a new pillar on O'Connell Street, who should they put at the top? And Dermot, you last week you said...
I jokingly said Bono, and then I said, no, to hell with that, it has to be Phil Lynott.
Mm-hmm. And Christy on Twitter also said Phil Lynott.
Without hearing that, we both came to the same.
So Phil Lynott seems to be a strong candidate. Aiden on... We mostly got, I think, joke answers to this question, which we fully support. There's no problem. Aiden on Facebook suggested...
Daniel O'Donnell. And
you have to explain who Daniel O'Donnell is.
People who've seen Father Ted will remember Owen McLove, the soft-spoken singer who has no willy. Now, Daniel O'Donnell, I think, has a willy, but he's a very folksy, cutesy singer with an enormous appeal to old ladies, and he's a lovely man. But... yeah, it would be very soft-spoken, lovely little songs I'm singing there. Yeah, so not serious. But the O'Donnell Monument has a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, they could change it to O'Donnell Street. And finally, Mike on Facebook says...
Oliver St. John Cogerty. Just so JJ could feel a greater sense of usurpation by the Buck Mulligan. That would be horrific. The prick with the stick looking up at the...
Yeah, because the James Joyce statue on Earl Street looks up at the spire.
Yeah.
So
every statue in Dublin, Dubliners have given like a snarky nickname. The Anne Olivia statue was the floozy in the jacuzzi or the whore in the sewer. They put a digital clock in the Liffey for the millennium, and it got covered in gunk, and it became the time in the slime. Like, you put up a monument in Dublin at your peril.
It will get a rude nickname.
A rude word.
Does the Phil Lynott statue have a rude nickname?
I don't think so.
Okay, so everybody likes Phil Lynott. So you take that, you put it on top of a big pillar right in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
All right. So we think Phil Lynnott's the correct answer?
Yes.
All right. Well, on that note, here's our tour of Glasnevin Cemetery with the one and only Martin Mooney. Thank you so much for listening to all 100 of these episodes, and we look forward to making 100 more.
Bye.
Bye.
I am aware that George Petrie was planning for the round tower, and I believe the plan was to build a round tower, a chapel, and a Celtic cross. But apparently ran out of money, public subscription, you see. So there's a round tower. But it's at the highest point of the cemetery.
It's incredible.
Yeah. We'll have a little walk around behind the mortuary chapel and have a see what we can find here.
Yeah.
I'll get myself settled.
Yeah.
That's the mortuary chapel. The heads on the chapel, there's 100 heads.
Oh, I see him.
That's actually done by James Pearce,
Okay.
the father of the revolutionaries. He worked in Glasnevin. And that's Willie Pearce's last piece of work there, 1914. That's Willie's last piece of work.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice one, isn't it?
Beautiful.
That's Willie's last piece.
Okay.
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece of work, isn't it, really? So as I said, there's 300,000 headstones. A lot, if you head back down, we'll head later on down to the original part of the cemetery.
Right.
1832, and you get all the Victorian symbols.
Yeah.
Reverse torch.
Yes.
That's a nice piece of work. That's called Melancholia. I'm not sure, I don't know who the sculptor is, but just a lovely piece of work, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a fabulous piece of work. Melancholia. Is she contemplating death? I don't know.
While we walk, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Your name's Martin Mooney.
Yes.
You are, my friend Vincent introduced you to me as a taphologist.
Well, I don't know that phrase, but I'll just give it the phrase that I picked up along the way.
Yeah.
Apparently, the beaver is what you call crepuscular. I've seen that on a nationwide. And can't say it now. He comes out at twilight, you see. So I think anybody that studies headstones or reads headstones, I think it's called, I don't know what it's called, tapophile. I'm not 100%, but I always join the two of them together. Crepuscular tapophile, come out when it's twilight to read the headstones. It's very atmospheric, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's very atmospheric. And look, Glasnevin never, the seasons are changing, so that means the cemetery change with the seasons.
So, reading the headstones at twilight, do you think it's like the lighting too, like makes them easier to read?
It's atmospheric, isn't it?
It's just the atmosphere.
It's atmospheric. Now we're going to pass.
That's fine.
Passing by Joyce, but we'll come back another day.
Okay.
To Joyce's parents.
All right.
We'll come back another day to that.
All right. So we'll circle back around.
We're going to Matthew Kane, aren't we?
Yeah. And then, Dermot, whose grave this is over here? That's Charles Stuart Parnell.
The uncrowned king. I love the phrase. I heard the phrase off a French person. I thought it's lovely. His downfall, well, partly was Keith O'Shea, wasn't it, really, the divorce case. But I think the phrase was, c'est chez la femme. There's a woman around.
Yeah.
It's a lovely expression, isn't it?
Yeah.
I won't say categorically that was his downfall, but the party split. Hell never. It's a lovely phrase, and I coined that phrase. So there's 11,357 cholera victims underneath Parnell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's buried there with his mammy Delia Tudor Stewart Parnell. She's a fabulous revolutionary. She lived in, I believe, part of Temple Street Hospital now. That was the townhouse, wasn't it, from Avondale? And Fanny and Annie Parnell, they were the Ladies Land League.
Right.
I believe they were an embarrassment to Parnell.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Ladies Land League, yeah. Well, that's another day's walk.
Okay.
So basically, getting back to my interest here, I have family members here, you see. So back in the day, the family would walk up to Glasnevin. All the kids would walk up with the mother to visit the family, you see.
Did you grow up in this neighborhood?
Yeah, not too far away. So we'd walk along the canal up to see Glasnevin every Sunday. So you'd walk up on a Sunday, the day of Sunday. But look, the place grows on everybody. Graveyards grows on everybody, you see. I did mention to you there the evening time, but the first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, when the sun is coming from the east, it's atmospheric, and you can read the headstones. You see, I've come across three interesting expressions although there's 300,000. I haven't counted the amount of red, but I'll give you three ones that are quite stand out. One, we're passing by now, and has the word purgatory on it. Haven't seen that on a headstone. So I just thought it's an interesting expression. You can see it here, Thomas Martin, he died in 1905, age 67. Have mercy on the soul in purgatory. I just find that an unusual expression, inscription. I haven't seen that on the headstone. You also have one, there's one that has the cholera epidemic on it. Died from the cholera epidemic. Spanish flu and the smallpox. Very rare to see an expression on it because normally they leave the expression off because people were superstitious that if you visit the grave, you might pick up the disease, you see. Just very unusual, but that one there always intrigues me.
Yeah.
Purgatory on it, you see. This walk here is what you call the AH walk. It's called the AH walk simply because that road there is a ZG. It's done numerical, you see, in alphabetical. That's a ZG, that's AH, so this is the AH walk. It's a lovely little walk, isn't it?
Okay.
And the Pierce family is over here. James Pierce's parents, Mammy, Daddy, siblings is over that way. You got 1 or 2 Bloody Sunday victims over here.
I'm sorry, is Patrick Weston Joyce? He's not the one I'm thinking of. There's a famous Patrick Weston Joyce.
You're talking, he wrote The Wind That Shakes the Barley.
Yeah.
He's over here, he's down further, yeah.
All right, I thought I just got really lucky.
There's actually Henry Gogarty, Oliver St. John Gogarty's father's here.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see him right there,
that's the Gogartys, that's the daddy.
Okay.
I believe that he was a surgeon as well, that's his daddy Gogarty.
Yeah, is Oliver St. John Gogarty, is he buried in
He's
here?
not in Glasnevin.
Okay.
No, I haven't done that there really, you see. So we'll have a little stroll down the AH walk on our way to Matthew Kane.
Okay.
It's a lovely little walk. I just want to tell you something briefly. I haven't read Ulysses, and I remember standing at Matthew Kane's grave, you see, and he said to me one day, we'll find out which way they came to see the chief. They left Matthew Kane, I think in 1905. He said, we'll go back to the chief, Parnell. Which way did he walk back? Now, there's a route back.
Yes.
But this fella read a paragraph from Ulysses, and I'm going to show you which way I think he walked back.
Yeah, I think that's one of the mysteries of which way did they walk back.
Well, what intrigued me that two words used in the paragraph itself. He wandered around through wherever, but he mentioned saddened angels and broken pillars. So not too far from Matthew Kane's grave, there's a saddened angel and there's a broken pillar. So it's off the beaten track. So that could be the way he walked back to Parnell. Well, it's interesting.
Okay.
So you have a few here. You have there's J.C. Doyle is in there. I think he's a baritone singer in Joyce.
Yes.
J.C. Doyle is in there.
Okay.
So I like Glasnevin because there's great themes in it. Like there's poets, you've got playwrights. You know, you've Brendan Behan. We all know Brendan Behan. And they're all scattered. There's mixed bag everywhere. You know, there's military graves as well, but it's all scattered. So wherever you go, I traverse the cemetery aimlessly in a way, and you find all so interesting stuff. You find the North victims of the North King Street massacre. There's just 2 here. 1916, the North King Street. There's 2 here. 22-year-old is over there.
Okay. Yeah, I find the size of this place overwhelming.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah.
124 acres. And then across the road, you have St. Paul's.
Okay.
That's another part. That's where Luke Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Christy Brown.
Okay.
Liam Whelan. Lovely little piece of work in a book called Dublin 7 by Bernard Neary. Gives a lovely account of Liam Whelan, the footballer, the Mooney disaster. So just while we're passing by, just going to show you, nip in here for a few minutes. I'm just going to look at this. This grave was great. This was in the Irish Times a couple of weeks ago, the 1st of September. It's Patricia Lynch, storyteller, Arden Fox, Arden Jones. The 4th of September, she's 50 years. She died in 1972. There's a lovely piece of work in the Irish Times there a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was fabulous about the books that she wrote, children's story books, you see. Just very obscure, but it's a lovely piece of work. You know. Now, I'm just going to show you this one. This one I found when I was coming up in the evening time. At night time, you can use your torch. Well, I don't mean too late, but you know, it's sunset.
Sunset.
So
right.
The torch is powerful, and it came across the word on the headstone, and it just said, "Eye opener." I said, "That's unusual. I'll have a look at that." Eye opener. So here we are. Came along. Thomas Dixon, editor of the Eye Opener, shot in Portobello Barracks, the History Ireland magazine.
In
1916. I subscribed to History Ireland, and I just looked up Thomas Dixon, Eye Opener. He was one of the journalists that was shot with Francis Sheehy Skeffington in 1916 in the Portobello June.
Family friend of the Joyces.
Was he?
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? Francis Geffner.
Yeah.
On his grave has murdered on. Only 4 graves has murdered. 4 graves, 4 headstones has murdered on at Glasnevin. Francis Geffenden, Thomas Henry Burke, the Under Secretary to Ireland. A young fella called O'Neill, age 16. That's in Joe Duffy's book. And McCartney, the North King Street massacre, has murdered on. It's a very harsh word, isn't it, really? But this one, I just found that interesting. I've got a photograph of him as well, Thomas Dixon.
Do you know anything about Eye Opener?
No. I haven't got the information to hand. History of Ireland, I think it was a satire in it, I think is used that expression. But however, he was shot in Portobello Barracks and any of his History of Ireland. Got a photograph of that, but it's just intriguing. I have notes on it, but we'll come back another day. We can brush up on the notes.
Sure.
That, you see. That's a map Glasnevin, you see.
Okay.
Got off a friend of mine. So basically, we're looking at, it's divided up. So that's the 8, we're heading now along the AH Walk. AH Walk, that's the walk there. It's a lovely walk. We're walking between two watchtowers. 2 watchtowers there. We've just gone past the grave of Zosimus, Michael Morden, the poet. The poet died in 1849. He worst fate than death was to have your body removed for the anatomy.
Oh,
So
right.
his wish was to be buried near the watchtower. So literally, he's just up near this watch. He's in section 21.
Right.
Zosimus is there, just near that watchtower.
Right. The watchtowers are there to prevent body
Body
snatchers,
snatching.
right? Yeah.
£2 for an adult, 6 shillings per inch for a child. And if the body wasn't accepted by the anatomy, just to keep the business going, to throw you a few quid for a good set of teeth. So if there's anybody who knows set of teeth in 1830, you know where they got their teeth from. So basically, went off to the anatomy, went off to the College of Surgeons. You got £5. I believe £2 was. Someone said to me a passing by, €1,940, and 6 shillings per inch for a child, and you got a fiver in Edinburgh. You put the body in a barrel, pickle it, put butter on it, and off you go to Edinburgh. So it's big business, you see, with the Cuban bloodhounds running around at night, cat and mouse get to chase you out, and a lot of diversions along the way, you see.
Right.
So we'll have a look
Okay.
along. We'll continue on the AH Walk up to Matthew Kane, and we'll just no, I'm just noting these graves along the way.
Yeah.
You see.
No, they're great.
That's a great one. I love art. How is?
Hello.
See, everywhere you walk in Glasnevin, it's intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and
It's-
who else you have here? Sculpture-wise, the trees are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
I love the one. I'm going to show you this one. I love the one. I just recently came across this other feature, and it's the scroll. So
Okay.
I'll show you the scroll. Maybe we'll nip down. I just want to get an older. I'll actually show you the scroll. It's just down this way. It's down in Skindigo.
Ah, yeah.
James Fitzharris.
I'd love to see.
So we'll
love
have a
to
look at James
visit
Fitz.
Skin the Goat.
We'll have a look at him.
Yeah.
So there's some lovely. We'll show you another day. The Victorian symbols are the epitaphs. In all your merit, remember death. The Saint none must die. Here and dot lie. Dissolve the dust, and so much you and I. Remember, man, as you pass by, as you are now, so once was I, as I am now, so you will be. Prepare yourself and follow me. So really Victorian type symbols, aren't they? Victorian expressions.
Yeah.
You know, very. They might say morbid expressions, but
I didn't want to say morbid, but I think the Victorians are very aware of death.
immortality.
Yeah.
I remember I met somebody here one day, and we were having a bit of a chat, and they said, "How long do you live for?" I said, "Well, you can only live one day at a time." They said, "No, until your next breath." It's a bit morbid, but look, that's what they said. So you come up with all sorts of things, don't you, really?
Right.
So this section now is where Skindigo is. James Fitzharris.
Okay.
The Jarvey, the driver to the Phoenix Park.
And a character in Ulysses.
Ulysses, yes, yes, indeed. I believe he's a publican or something like that in the pub.
He owns a cabin shelter under the Butt Bridge.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you might update me on that aspect of the Ulysses.
Yes.
I got my stuff from Vivian Igo,
Okay.
the real people. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm happy to look at that.
But yeah, I mean, he was selling coffee and buns and harder stuff too.
This one here, it's just a scroll. You see the
I
scroll?
see the
19th.
scroll.
Yeah, it's a lovely picture. I'll record that on my old WhatsApp and send it off to my sister in Australia. She loves it. The top part of the scroll there, you can see. The top part is your past. That's gone. That's history. That's your life. The present, the life you've lived from birth to death, and the family, children along the way. And the future is what you call awaiting the resurrection. That's God's plan.
Gotcha.
You
Okay.
see, at some turning point in history, the expectation is our ancestors will come back.
Right.
You see, at a turning point in history. So that's that expression there, unfolding out, unraveling God's plan for the future.
Very
Really.
nice.
So it's a bit like the headstones facing the east. That idea of expectation, isn't it? Really. So these are just. There's a lovely one around the corner. I'll show you, and it just says on it, awaiting the resurrection.
Yeah.
What more can you do? But there's a wonderful idea of the concept of hope, isn't it? Really, you need hope. You've got two fellas here in your unit says called Hopper, journalist.
Okay. Yes.
Journalist here. Have a look. Have it. Very small, very out of the way. Joseph Hooper,
Okay.
a journalist, 6th of September 1931. Just got that from Vivian's book as well.
Excellent.
So while you're here, this one here would be Michael Lehiff. He was an unarmed member of the DNP, and he was in Stevens's Green at the Harcourt Street section, unaware that 1916 that they were planning the rebellion. Markovich was with Mallon, digging trenches in Stevens's Green, and he was shot 3 times actually. An unarmed member of the DNP, the 24th of April 1916. So that's little Michael Lehiff, put away out of the way there, you see. So we'll have a quick look. We'll head off to Matthew Kane. What do you think?
Yes.
Matthew Kane. So there's your mixed bag. There's the RIC grave there. isn't it?
Right.
The
Okay.
RIC. They were commissioned that title, I believe, Royal Irish Constabulary. She gave them the Royal Commission when they crushed they called it the skirmish in 1867, the Tallaght skirmish, wasn't it? That's the lads there. This one that I love, one of the lads the lads in the was pointing this out to me here. Somebody asked me, it's a lovely expression. The headstone says, in loving memory of Harry Potter.
Oh,
There's Harry Potter there.
it sure is.
1930. So somebody says one day, is that Harry Potter? I says, yeah, that's Harry Potter.
Yep.
It says Harry Potter, doesn't it?
That's the famous Harry Potter.
There's
Right?
two, well, that's Harry Potter, 1930. Interesting, isn't it?
But yeah.
That's Harry Potter there.
You think there must have been hundreds of people with that name, not realizing it would be a very famous name one day.
Harry Potter, it's interesting, isn't it? Now, you got Kevin O'Higgins to the right as well, 1927. Kevin O'Higgins. You got Maria Euston, Sean Euston's mammy,
Okay.
and Teresa, the sisters. The daffodils comes up there now in spring. It's fabulous. And there's a lovely broken daffodil further on down in Prospect Cemetery, down with the grave diggers. And symbol that means the broken daffodil. You can crush the daffodil, but you can't stop the spring.
Right.
Lovely
so it always
hope.
comes up again.
Yeah, this would be lovely. The spring, that's full of daffodil. That's Maria Euston and Teresa.
Okay.
You have here. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. You've got a couple of Ulysses here. You've got the Manetti Caprani. Is that the name, is it?
Yes.
Two brothers.
Joseph Nanetti was the print master for the Freeman's Journal.
I'll show you where he is. I think it says 2 brothers married 2 sisters.
Okay.
Would that be it? I'll show you where-
Possibly. I don't know
Yeah.
much. I know about him.
I'll show
I
you
think
where
he was either he was in government as well. I want to say a city councillor or
Okay.
in the government. Yeah.
I know I'm passing by this, but I just find this. It's from the book of Job. I just like this. It says, I'll read it for you. I know that my Redeemer lived, and in the last day I shall rise. I shall see my God. This is my hope. Is laid up in the bosom. Right now, I'm not missing that. I know that my Redeemer lived, and in the last days I shall rise out of the earth, and in my flesh I shall see my God. This is my hope, laid up in my bosom. Job, just a lovely expression.
Beautiful.
So this idea of an earthly hope of the dead returning to live on the earth, paradise earth. That's just thought that was interesting because you don't see those expressions at all, you know. There's your skin to go.
Ah, okay.
Fitzharris.
I said but I actually don't know which one I'm looking at.
He died in 1911.
Okay.
As far as we know, Markovich would have put the flowers at that grave.
Okay.
Well,
I see. James.
It says 1910 there, doesn't it? Invincible.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Because he was sentenced, I think, to either execution or life imprisonment.
Yeah.
And then he was let out very early.
Got 15 years.
Yeah.
There's the lads there mentioned there. They're in Kilmainham jail. Okay. The lads are in Kilmainham jail. I actually got the book only yesterday, for a tenner. James Harris Skin to Go.
Yeah, and these are the other...
The lads are in Kilmainham jail.
Yeah.
Brady Cody. It's interesting, that makes great history. There's 2 books on that at the moment. You know.
Yeah, we
several people asked me, we were very familiar, I don't know whether other parts of the country are familiar with the expression skin to go. We were called skin to go by the party of dad. You go down the shop there, skin to go, get a few bits and pieces. But apparently the skin to go is skin to go for either one or 2 reasons. He needed this money to sell the skin for alcohol, or he used the skin to cover his lap while he's in the taxi. That's the expression. He wouldn't take the money. He wouldn't take £10,000 to divulge who was the lads that carried that assassination. So he says a crow never flew over the head of an informer. He was prepared to do time. He wasn't going to give the names.
If my memory serves, when I was reading about him too, they thought he must have something to do with it, and they arrested him a couple of times, and he never flipped. Yeah, until the other guys did. But he was not the real driver. He was a decoy driver.
Was he? I didn't know that. That's a nice one for
me. They had 2 drivers. One who was the real driver. His name escapes me right now. Yeah. And then Skin the Goat was a decoy. So if the police pulled him over, the Invincibles could still get away.
I wasn't aware that that's another bit of history, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
That's a great one, isn't it? We'll have a look at Matthew Kane and then we'll go back to Matthew Kane. How was that?
Yes. I like it.
Yeah. So the 2 brothers. Manetti Caprani, there's 2 brothers, my 2 sisters. One brother is here on a marked grave, and one is in an unmarked grave in this section here.
Okay.
So that's interesting with Skin to Go.
Yeah, and he got out of prison early and then just lived a very quiet life.
There's a cenotaph of Patrick O'Donnell, the women of New York, put a cenotaph here in memory of Patrick O'Donnell, who he would have carried out the murder of Cardi. The leader of the group that divulged the name to the British. So here we are.
Okay.
Manetti Tony Caprani.
Okay, this is a different person than I'm thinking of. Who? Tell me who he was.
I don't know, just Vivian Igo's book just said that 2 brothers married 2 sisters. More Irish than the Irish. They were 2 printers, you see.
Okay. Yeah, the one who appears in Ulysses as a character is Joseph Nannetti, who was of Italian descent, but he was a printer in Ulysses and in real life for the Freeman's Journal. And but his last name was Nannetti. And I see Menotti, so
well, maybe
I'm seeing the...
actually, do you know what? There is a little discrepancy there in the... But that is them.
Oh,
there is a discrepancy.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
I met a family member here that was looking for the unmarked grave, and I was just pointing out to how you located it with the numerical and alphabetical.
Okay.
That was them there. That's the Menettis. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Okay. No worries. I'm sure I have pronounced many things wrong. So we get emails sometimes letting me know when I pronounce things wrong.
Well, that's cool. We're all learning along the way. It's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have a look at this one.
I don't think I've been to this part of Glasnevin before.
St. Bridget's section. This is up this way.
You could come here 1,000 times. You'd see something different every time.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a scroll on that one there.
Yeah. Something new every day. There's a scroll. You know. There's one up here, and I've yet to find out its interpretation. There's actually a chain around the cross with an anchor, and somebody's telling me that's a seafaring, but it's fisherman or it's actually not, because I believe from what I've read in the past, someone had designed that the chain is broken, and it's just if you break away from Christianity, you can offer no resistance to the temptations of the world. That's the interpretation I read.
Okay.
See, you've got the Church Street tenements, the collapse of the Church Street tenements, 1913.
Okay.
There's 5 headstones in here. I read that in Dublin 7 as well, Bernard Neary's book.
Okay.
We'll have a quick look.
Yeah, let's do that. How you doing back there? Excuse me.
So everywhere you walk, you're walking over history. You're tripping over history. Yeah. Everywhere you walk. That's 66, 67 George Street, Dublin. 1913, the collapse of the tenements. I think 7 or 8 people would have died in that.
Strumpet City.
Mentioned in that.
Yep.
Yeah, mentioned in that. 1, 2. You can see them at 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one's where that little teddy bear is. See the 5th one there.
Yeah, I see
1,
him.
2, 3, 4, 5. That dimensions Strumpet City. You're right. That's them there. So there's a mixed bag for you as well, isn't it? Really. There's a grave here. Mrs. Brown. Who plays Mrs. Brown? I can't think of him. Brendan O'Cardle.
Oh,
his
not
relatives.
Sure.
His uncle, I think, is over here.
Okay.
And I think. Do you remember what I said to that headstone's murder? There's 4.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a 5th one. I'm just thinking now. We'll have a quick look.
Okay.
During the curfew, 1921, I think we'll have a quick look. I think he lived down in Manor Street, and the English, as far as I know, were looking for his sons who were in the IRA, and indiscriminately shot him dead. No, it just says Peter Carroll shot at his home in Manor Street during the curfew in 1920. So I think that was Brendan O'Cardle's uncle.
Okay.
I'm not sure where the mammy is buried. She could be Mount Jerome, I'm not sure. Brendan's mother. But that was, again, that's another part of history, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
On the way to Matthew Kane.
And that's one of the towers.
That's the last watchtower. That's the last. Nothing else past that. Because they changed the law, banning the stealing of bodies from graves.
So it was not illegal to steal the...
It is illegal. What was legal was you could, if a body wasn't claimed in the poorhouse that died, you donate that to the anatomy. If a criminal was hung, that could be donated to the anatomy profession. But the demand was so great for the colleges to teach the students anatomy, hence the body snatchers.
Right.
You see. Now I believe, I haven't done the figures, but for 300 bodies you get £1,400, so it was good money.
That's a lot of money in those days.
And you got the summers off as well.
Good point. I wouldn't have thought about the time off from grave robbing.
It was a good game. And then you had Burke and Herd in Edinburgh, I think they were renowned, weren't they, for?
Yes.
Not body snatch at one stage, but then they started to get
the resurrectionists.
Yeah. Euphemistically, sack 'em up.
Right. I like sack 'em up. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The last time I was here, I remember this section being kind of, it looked overgrown. The grass was very tall, but it looks like the grass has been cut at least since I was last here.
It's well maintained, isn't it?
Okay, it made me worry that it wasn't being maintained well, but it looks like maybe I was just here like right before they cut it.
Yeah. I think they let it grow. Yeah.
Hello.
Matthew Kane. So it's a good bit away from Parnell, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Matthew F. Kane.
Oh, here he is. Oh, yeah. All right. So, his picture's been added there since the last time. Yeah. So this is Dermot. This is the one we talked about on the podcast. Remember, we looked at a photograph of his grave.
Yep.
This is the guy. Now, when I was here with Vincent, he said that he had heard this might be in the wrong spot. Do you know anything about that?
I would say Glasnevin. I would say that's the right spot.
Okay.
The genealogy records are impeccable. I'm not sure who's replacing Lynn Brady, but yeah, you can be really sure that's the spot.
Okay.
I mean, you can check the records.
Okay.
It gets a lot of visitors, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Matthew, I think that's. Did you say that Hades? Is that the section?
Yes.
Ulysses.
Yeah. So he So there's two characters so Joyce, a lot of his characters are based on people that he knew. So in Ulysses, their friend Patrick Digman has died the day before, and so they have a funeral for him on the 16th of June. And Matthew Kane's funeral was the kind of the basis, because Joyce and his father would have attended Matthew Kane's. He was a friend of the Joyces. Yeah. But Martin Cunningham is a character who attends the funeral, and his personality was also based on Matthew Kane. So, because Joyce had written short stories and things before, and Martin Cunningham was in those based on his father's friend Matthew Kane, and so in Ulysses, Matthew Kane attends his own funeral.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes. And then towards the end of the book, Leopold Bloom lists in his mind friends of his who have died, and Matthew F. Kane appears in that list. Oh. So he's in Ulysses in 3 forms. Yeah. And I always find it interesting that it says he was the model for William Shakespeare, but really Joyce described him both in the short story and in Ulysses as having a face like William Shakespeare's. Right. And there's a picture of him there, so you can decide for yourself. That's the only reason why he's in Ulysses, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know why.
That's the only reason why he's mentioned as Shakespeare.
It's amusing to me that William Shakespeare ended up on that list, because it's kind of. But he was kind of a big shot. Like he worked in Dublin Castle. He kind of knew everybody. He was very well connected. Kind of a man about town, and he always went around in a fine silk top hat, which that picture's a little degraded there. But he I guess they went out on a boat into Dublin Bay, and he dove in the water, and some kind of just medical catastrophe. Either I've seen it listed as a stroke or a heart attack, and he died in the water. Yeah,
that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, just not far away is a fella called Manetti. I think he's a dancing instructor.
Okay.
We'll have a look at him.
Yes. And I know there's a man named Albert Altman who's.
That's Altman.
Yeah.
And I remember I was here one day, and a chap read Ulysses to me, asking me, which way do you think he left when he left Matthew Kane? And I'm going to show you the direction that he took.
Okay. Would we be able to swing around the Altman grave? We've talked about Altman as a possible model for Leopold Bloom.
Right.
McGinney, yes. He is definitely in Ulysses. Yes. Dennis's name was originally McGinn, but sometime in the early 1880s he added the extra I, making it more exotic and Italian in keeping with his profession. Fantastic.
Excellent. It's great the way it's kept, isn't it? Really, it's fantastic.
Yes.
His wife Mary is there.
All right.
We have a look at Mr. Altman, will we?
Yeah.
Altman the Saltman, is that what
Altman the Saltman, yes. And I'm thinking the person who was reading to you from Ulysses must have been Vincent Altman O'Connor, who's a descendant of his.
Okay, yeah.
And has written, at least to me very convincingly, that he was maybe a model for Leopold Bloom in Ulysses. But that the memory of that has been forgotten over time. Yeah. Altman the Saltman. Let's see.
This one here, that's in there.
Yes, that looks familiar. Yes, there he is.
Golden Bridge House in Chicago.
And another scroll here as well.
Yeah, they're actually in the book called They Died by Pace of Soy, Daniel Murray, volunteer 1916,
Easter.
Yeah,
Killed in action.
Yeah, there's a nice piece of work there by Ray Bateston, done a nice piece of work called They Died by Pace of Soy. He just gives a list of all those that fell in 16. Now, I mentioned to you that when somebody read the paragraph, so which way do you think, when he left Matthew Kane, which way did he walk? And he read out the paragraph, and I'm just going to show you one of the features. As you know, Glasnevin would have been like this back in 1905.
Yes.
Well, he mentioned Saddened Angels in the paragraph,
yes.
and I can nearly assume, is that the Saddened Angels that's mentioned?
Yes. Okay. Is there any significance to this grave.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. But he read the section after Matthew Kane, and he said saddened angels and broken pillars. So you can only assume which way he walked.
So I don't want to throw cold water on your theory, but I am noticing the dates are 1899. Okay. I didn't read far enough. So I was thinking, would it be here in 1904?
I don't know who they are, but just to see that.
The angel, though.
Saddened angels. The paragraph says saddened angels and broken pillars. We wrote the broken pillars over that way.
Okay.
There's only 4 broken pillars at Glasnevin. One is Arthur Griffith.
Right.
The second is in the chapel circle. There's a third one on the AH walk, and that's the only one that's in this direction.
Okay.
Not far from Matthew Kane.
Right.
So that's the broken. It's at the far. We won't walk. I can only assume, going on what he read to me, that he walked this way.
Yeah.
Because he mentions the donkey, the sound of a donkey.
Right. Yeah.
In the distance, could well have been in the fingers direction.
Okay.
See, it wouldn't be.
It's hard to imagine a donkey in this environment.
The sound of a donkey. You can imagine the fields, further fields. You see.
Yeah. So all these apartments and things here would have been
just fields.
Fields.
So there's a broken pillar over there.
Okay.
It's the one. It's the fourth one. That's I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
You know. You have another fella here called. It's a Cooper in Guinness's Brewery.
Ah, okay. And the broken pillar, the symbolism of the broken pillar.
History Ireland calls it a Renaissance signal for the fortitude or untimely death. Arthur Griffith, the 12th of August. He dropped dead 5 weeks into the Civil War. It's untimely death. He was 50. Oh, somebody did say to me as well, he didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve. So lack of achievement. It's a lovely piece of work, the broken pillar. His wife just decided that she wanted that over Arthur's grave.
Yeah, I heard it described as someone who's cut down in their prime.
Could be. Yeah, he's only 50.
Which is the same as what you said.
Yeah, so great. It has a lot of interpretation, but
yeah,
it's a lovely piece of work, isn't it? About yeah. Augustine John Boylan.
I see him.
The Cooper.
Okay. He's a Cooper in
Guinness's.
Guinness's.
I think 38 years in Guinness's, but he has an Blazes Boylan. Is that him? Blazes Boylan.
Blazes Boylan. There's a Blazes Boylan, yeah, but he is a music impresario. He's planning a musical tour for Bloom's wife, who's a soprano, and he's also, taking a little bit of extra on the side. Okay. Yeah.
That's the one that having a fling with somebody, wasn't it?
Yes.
Somebody was
his Bloom's wife is cheating on him with Boylan. Yeah.
Do you want to walk down to that pillar, that broken pillar?
I'm fine.
We have a little walk down way over here.
You want to walk to the pillar?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Look, they read Ulysses, and I said, I haven't read it. You read it out to me, and I'll tell you which direction they might have taken. Okay. So we passed by saddened angels, and then he says broken pillar. Well, there's only one broken pillar in this direction.
Okay. Because part of that detective work is always figuring out what would have been here in 1904.
Yeah, what did it look like?
Mm-hmm. Or not, because Joyce could be very meticulous about that, but if it didn't suit him, he could be very unmeticulous and just put whatever he wanted. So
I know we're looking up further into Violet Hill, but that wasn't there. That section was extended later on. You see.
Okay.
So it probably would have finished around here. You see.
Because he wrote Ulysses outside of when he was living in Italy mainly, and he would have friends and family here like send him information, or if he wanted to know where the broken pillar was, he'd have someone go look for him and tell him and write him writing in a letter much slower than sending an email or something now. But yeah. So he drove one of his aunts crazy having her send stuff to him for years, and then he portrayed her very unflatteringly in the novel as a thank you.
Wasn't happy with her, was he not? Wasn't happy with it?
No. I don't know why, because he gave her a copy and he's like, look what I wrote, and then she was really angry at him after that.
Now, I'm looking for it and I can't find it. But when you're not around, I'll probably stumble on it. It's just over, it's in here, it's down this section over here. Yeah. That's your broken pillar.
I see it right there. And do you know anything about this grave?
No, nothing at all. Okay. Nothing at all. So I can only assume in that paragraph where the saddened angel and broken pillar, this might have been the direction he walked, and then could have went back along the footpaths. You know.
So he does make a comment about, my grave will be over there toward Finglas Road.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. Patrick
Duffy. Wine and spirit merchant. Died in Dublin, March 1919.
Age 34. So there's your broken
Yeah.
pillar.
It says, in the bloom of his life, death claimed him. In the pride of his manhood, I can't read that, make the word. None knew him but to love him. None mentioned his name but in praise. So he was a great guy. Yeah.
In the bloom of his life. So there's your broken pillar there now.
So he dies in 1919?
Yeah, it says this is P. Duffy, Royal Defence Corps, 24th March 1919.
So could this be an anachronism if Joyce was writing?
Yeah,
after
that's
1904?
interesting,
Would it be there
because
in 1904?
was this here in 1904,
Yeah,
or did Joyce not care?
because he played with time a bit.
Yeah. If you needed there to be a broken pillar here, and it wasn't there in 1904, there could still be a broken pillar there in 1904 of Ulysses.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's lots of things where he did that. Yeah.
Yeah, just adds him along the way.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
That's interesting.
Isn't it?
This is a very, like, because they end up going back around by Parnell's grave, but this is very, like,
Could have went.
circuitous.
Could have went that way. Yeah. Could
Yeah.
have walked this way easily. Yeah. Because you never take the path. You take it. Look, if you're curious, your curiosity will take other directions. Your curiosity will just take you aimlessly around. That's where the joy is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than the footpath. The footpath is too consistent, isn't it?
Yeah. You have to go off the path a little bit.
Yeah, the beaten track. Yeah.
So, Martin, if you want, like, say you wanted to find out more about Patrick Duffy, like, how do you do your research on the graves?
Well, if there's nothing there, and I thought the Glasnevin is a great genealogy section.
Okay.
Now they could probably just tell me who's there, particularly if it's an unmarked grave, which is more interesting. Very difficult to find that, but if it did say he's a journalist, or if it named the book that he wrote, or he's an author, that might make things easy.
Of course, yeah.
The Dixon of his biography might have a little link there, you see. Just by chance he gets stuff out as well, you know.
And as I'm standing here too, I see some graves that have maybe tipped over or
Wear and tear.
yeah. Is there effort to repair graves like
Yeah,
that?
you can see them there. The monument restored. You see this
Right.
signs,
Seen
monument
some of those.
restored. So there is a program, isn't
Yeah.
there, really, to fix up all the headstones. You see them further on there, monument restored. That's just wear and tear, isn't it? I meant to tell you while we're here. I found an unmarked grave of Tom Clark's parents. The signature of the proclamation.
Oh wow.
James Clark and his mammy Mary and his sister Hannah. Will we take a little while?
Yeah.
Did the
Yeah.
same
Let's
second.
do it.
She died in July 1922. Dad, you think 1894, and Hannah 1950.
And is it unmarked because the tombstone fell over, or
No,
was
it's never there,
it was
no.
never marked?
Never at there,
Okay.
no.
So how? Maybe this is a silly question. How do you find an unmarked grave?
Well, I got a lead there. Got a lead of God, can't think of his name now. Fella that loves that is a Tom Clark fan. You see,
Okay.
reading a book called The Life of Tom Clark. I'm not sure the name of the book offhand. And it was that quite simple. Just said that he was buried in Glasnevin. Glasnevin genealogy gave me
Okay.
Glasnevin gave me the grave references.
So it's like happenstance and good luck and
Yeah. This is basically, if you look on the wall it's marked. Can you see SI?
I do, yeah.
Or SSI. And then you have UI. It's in red. Painted
I
red
do
on the
see
wall.
that.
And that's your so this row here is UI. All this row.
Okay.
And then numerical there. And you've got it. See 330 at the back. 330.
Yeah.
Go up in halves. I think he's 227 and a half. So
Okay.
basically, Tom Clark's grave is literally around here. His parents is here. Tom Clark is in Arbor Hill with the there's 14 of them in Arbor Hill Cemetery. Apart from Roger Case and Thomas Kent. So Tom Clark's mammy and daddy is here, and his sister Hannah in an unmarked grave.
Okay.
That's them there.
And they just never had a headstone
The
or
National Grave Society might do something, I don't know. But I rang
Yeah.
Joe Duffy flagged that this as well. You see, so the only one that
Actually shocking, isn't it? Like Tom Clark, we wouldn't be a republic without Tom Clark.
oh, no,
Like he's sort of forgotten himself, you know.
completely.
Yeah.
Considering that he spent 15 years,
Yeah.
in prison, maddening silence,
Yeah.
emaciated.
Yeah.
He said he was a broken man when he got out of prison,
Yeah.
and he did say, "I'm not going to go back to prison again."
Yeah.
So he told Pearce to make that speech, Donovan Ross's speech on the 1st of August 1915, make that speech as hot as hell. He says, "I'm not going back to prison." He says, "There's going to be a revolution in 1916." Great photograph there on display. There's a great photograph, you can see it in the cemetery museum. But that's the parents there. His mammy, daddy, and his mammy died on July 1922, and the daddy, I think, 1894, but Hannah 1950. But it's a bit bizarre considering that everybody else is marked. Pearce is marked. Pearce, mammy, daddy, and the wives are marked. Grace Gifford is marked. Maud Gunn McBride is marked. Amy Kant's parents is marked, but there's nothing there. I was hoping that I rang Joe Duffy and it was on to him there to get a campaign going, maybe to have a look at if someone could put a marker there.
It wouldn't cost much to put a headstone.
It's he was from he was raised in County Tyrone, was he? Yeah. That's the parents in anyway. That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now I think, as far as I know, although her son was executed in 16, another son, I think, fell into the canal. I think, as far as I know, 1917. So I haven't done any work on that, but you can imagine the condition of the poor mother,
Yeah.
So that's the Clark family there.
Yeah, that seems to be, unfortunately, like, I know mostly just from tracking down Joyce stuff, things that have some kind of historic or literary significance don't always get maintained in Dublin. Like, it's not just this; it's many little things.
Overlooked, but that one there is I think it's a bit of a disappointment, isn't it?
Absolutely,
That's been overlooked.
I would agree.
Who Tom Clark was the signatory, the first name on the proclamation, on the signatory. So that's interesting, isn't it? That's history for you. You can be airbrushed as well, can't you?
Yeah.
We'll have a walk up this way.
Let's do it. Is it bad luck to step on someone's grave?
Yeah, try to avoid as best you can, don't you,
Yeah.
really? Yeah, if you're not, it's not it's bad luck, but you try to avoid it, don't you?
Do you have any personal superstitions about walking around in a graveyard?
I don't have any, because I'm just aware that I love this phrase on the headstone, and it says they're awaiting the resurrection. It's a lovely expression. They're just sleeping in death, facing the east, with the hope of being called, the resurrections. There's nothing there. There's nothing mysterious. Nothing. I mean, the sounds are more. The birds, the sounds of the birds are fabulous.
Yeah.
The morning time, you get the whistles and things. Just reminds you. And then you're next door to the Botanic Gardens, so it's lovely, isn't it?
I love the Botanic Gardens.
You have another grave up here that I had to take claim for, really, and fair play to people. Somebody set up a lovely campaign to get a headstone on it, and GoFundMe page. Her name was, it's called Peggy Dell, was a stage name. Margaret Tisdale died in 1979, but she was in an unmarked grave for a long time. And somebody's just seen, I put a little photograph at the grave, at the foot of the grave, of her, and somebody's seen it and set up on my GoFundMe page. It's a lovely headstone. Fabulous.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's important.
It'd be nice if you got something going down there for Tom Clark's parents.
Yes.
A little small piece of work. Would be lovely.
Yeah.
There's a grave over here. So you meet a lot of people like myself in Glasnevin, in all graveyards. Don't you meet people wandering around? Maria Murphy, Maria Murdochou. I think she was a teacher at one stage. People have a passion for certain graves. There's a 1916 soldier over here. His name is Dwan. And I know a retired fella from Finglas. He attends that grave. He has a passion for that. Marie Murphy, or a Murdochou, she calls herself. She's a passion for another girl called Marie Walker. Marina Ulick. I'll show you. She's in the Abbey. There's a portrait painting of her in the Abbey by Jack B. Yates. She was showing me this grave. That's an unmarked grave. So you meet people here that have a passion for individual graves or individual themes. I'll show you this one.
That's the duty of the living, is to maintain the graves.
Yeah, keep them alive. You see, keep the spirit alive. I'll keep the whole. Yeah, just to remember them, isn't it? Really?
Right.
I found one in here now. It's since been commemorated. I came back in a couple of years ago, and this grave, Margaret. Her name is. It's up here. Her name is Margaret Keogh.
Okay.
And it wasn't decorated. It's polished up now. But I just thought it's a lovely expression. It has on it, died for Ireland. Now, it's an interesting expression, isn't
Died for Ireland.
Look,
yeah, I
sometimes
see.
the headstone says it as it is. Now, Margaret Keogh from Rings End, she was coming them on. But
Okay.
although it's polished up now, but back in the day, that was the same colour as that.
Okay.
Just grey.
And that's the old stone that's been
Polished up.
restored. Okay.
That's
just
that's
polished.
a new one there. That was restored.
Yes.
But I just seen that died for Ireland. And it's a very profound statement, isn't it, really? From Rings End, Margaret Keogh. So that's in the same field as at the Altman Saltman.
Right. Yeah.
There's a
there he
Saltman
is
there.
over there. Yeah.
So you've got a mixed bag of everything here.
Yeah.
The Saltman is there. You've got Matthew Kane is there as well.
Right.
So it's amazing stuff you find that, isn't it, really? I'll show you Marina Yulig on the way, will you, as we walk
Let's
over
do
here.
it.
She's in a no-mark grave.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, she was in the Abbey with Paddy Digman.
Right. Yeah, it kind of makes you think, like, you could be a big shot in life, but afterwards, you never know where you end up.
And see, history just you can be airbrushed out of history, like circumstances just airbrush you. It's sad really that we can be airbrushed out of history through events that happen out of our control, you see. Like that one, it's a great photograph. I'll show you another day. It's in Dublin colour of all the women in 1916, and Marina Yulig is in it as well. We'll have a look over. I haven't done that on Marina Yulig. I put a photograph on it, but Marina, or more cool, that young girl that I met, well, she's retired now, but she has a passion for her. No matter one day, so she has the story off to a T. We meet her another day. I'll let her give her thing on it, but she loves it, you know. Mummy, we'll have a quick walk and have a quick look at it, will we? So there's your numbers on the grave. They're all marked.
Yes.
And you count up. It's done by halves, you see. So when you're walking up, you got 227 and a half. So basically 227 and a half. You got 227 and all the way up. You see, you count it way up.
Do you know why it's in halves?
Well, it's 2 foot and a half, isn't it?
Okay.
So everybody gets 2 by 8.
Okay.
From presidents to politicians to poor people, we all get 2 by 8. We all get the same. There's no discrimination in death, is there really? We're all equal on the turf and under, as somebody says. All men are equal. But yeah, we all get 2.5. You see, we're all in the same soil. There's a railings at the further end of the cemetery, the Victorian end, and there's a metal railings around it. I think it's called Victorian snobbery. In other words, we're fenced off here now, lads. Just keep away from us, the poorer class. Where there's the 800,000 in no mark grave. So look, we're all in the same soil. You know, hoping for the resurrection. So there's a bit of Victorian snobbery. That's the phrase we'd use, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because Glasnevin is Victorian?
1832. The first grave's the 22nd of February, 1832.
Okay.
Michael Cardy. So the feature I love is that although it's 124 acres, it was 9 acres of land initially. Now, if you want to get 9 acres into your brain, what does it look like? The polo grounds in the Phoenix Park is 9 acres. And the ancient city of Nazareth was 9 acres.
Oh,
so
wow.
that gives you the size of it originally, you see. That was the size.
And that's why, because of Nazareth, I'm guessing, and it was 9 acres, so this is 9 acres?
I'm not sure there's a connection with the 9 acres of Nazareth and Glasnevin. That's something I read, that 9 acres
All right.
was
it
Nazareth.
just happens
The ancient city of Nazareth was 9 acres, coincidentally.
It could have been 9 acres for the polo grounds. No.
Yeah?
No, I'm making a
Oh,
dumb joke.
I got a book on the Phoenix Park, and it's just that's 9 acres. So that's
Okay, just to give you an idea of the
well,
size,
you see,
though.
like that. When you know that's 9 acres and you read something else, I'll give you a small example. How when you remember facts, Daniel O'Connor died in 1847, and he spent the original burial. He spent 22 years in a different location before he went to the Round Tower. So, how do you remember 22? Well, Buddy Holly was 22 when he died in the plane crash. So, by association.
Right. And so his body is here, but his heart is in Rome.
Heart is in Rome.
Okay.
He gave his soul, his epitaph in the tower, gave his soul to God. Is that what he said? Soul to God, heart to Rome, and his body to Ireland. Now, although all the headstones are facing the east, true geographical east is the cross on top of his round tower.
I see.
That's
okay.
true. You can see it. Well, you can't see it now, but that's true geographical east. But these are all facing the east. We mentioned that expression earlier on.
And I noticed some, especially when we were over there, some of them, they're kind of back to back. So wouldn't some of them be facing west?
The clergy, the book called Dead Interesting, that they have in the shop there in Glasnevin. Lovely expression. The clergy face the east because they minister to the flock.
Mm-hmm.
You see the cap on them there, the Italian cap, and they minister to the flock. So, but I think that tradition is gone because there are some graves now facing the east. I already met a woman one day. She says, "Oh, I said, where's your husband buried facing that way?" She says, "He's facing towards the house."
Ah.
So that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Expression, you know.
Because I was wondering if maybe the stone is facing the other way, but maybe under the ground their coffin could still be facing east.
Yeah, there's your scroll again, isn't
There's
it?
a scroll.
Your past, your present, and your future.
Right.
And then you've got other symbols. You've got the reverse torch. You've got linked hands. That's another one. You've got chest tombs, table tombs. Do all sorts of symbols. And then you've got these express IHS. Not sure what that means, but I know Christ.
Gosh.
Someone says, "I have suffered." It's a Latin word. I'm not sure. Funny, this woman here. You can see Nancy. Nancy. Poor Daddy was a victim of the Bloody Sunday massacre.
Okay.
Yeah, his name was Matthews. That's the daughter Nancy. She died in 2018. Age 97. That was poor Nancy there. So she was commemorating in 2020, wasn't she? No, 2016. That's Nancy there.
Okay. Dermot, what does IHS stand for?
It's Latin though.
We talked about it on the podcast that I've
like a folk
yeah.
saying, but
Or
it's
I have
Latin.
sinned is how it comes out in
Yeah,
Ulysses.
But it's Latin.
Yeah.
It means something else though, and like
It's
never
associated
seen
with the
that,
Jesuits. It's the Jesuit
yeah.
motto.
But it means it's son of God or something like that. Or,
Yeah, it's something with Jesus, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's a Latin
Yeah,
word, isn't it?
yeah.
Something to that expression, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we talked about it, and now I cannot remember.
There's a fella that walks around, just can't get his name now. He loves the other side of Glasnevin. He loves the signs and the symbols. Like he said to me, you see the front, the curb around, that's the bed, he said. And the headstone, the grave, that's the board of the bed.
Right.
He has another look at the cemetery, different ways, you see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We're just going to show you Marina Ulick.
Sure.
Marie Walker. One of the,
She's
out in 16. I haven't done any work on her. But there's a piece of work, there's a book about it already. And she's mentioned in
There's a join hands on that, guys.
that's linked hands, yeah. Linked hands. Some say it's crossing the great divide from immortality to from mortality to immortality. Crossing the great divide. That's some expression, isn't it? Really? I sent a little WhatsApp to my sister in Australia, Phyllis, and it just said that I love the expression. It's in the Bible. I think Jesus actually said it. Into your hands I entrust my spirit. It's a lovely expression. You got to put a religious symbol to Glasnevin. So we're going to take a walk down to Marie Walker. That's not the one there, but it's amazing what to read. The parish priest of St. John the Baptist.
St. John the Baptist, builder of St. John the Baptist Church.
I didn't see that. Your knowledge is better than mine.
Founder of parish. Parish priest of St. John the Baptist, Port Glasgow? Are those G's? Or, otherwise it's Glasgow.
Yeah.
It has to be Glasgow, right? Yeah. Founder of parish, 1846, and builder of St. John the Baptist Church, 1854. Died 5th January, 1892. You are priest of the order of Melchizedek and forever.
Oh, that's interesting. That's Psalms 110. That's referring.
It is, yes.
That's referring to the Melchizedek, the priest. Familiar with that? In eternal. That's referring to Christ himself, isn't it? The priest according to Melchizedek. I think my Bible doesn't need to brush up on that, but that's a lovely expression. That Psalms 110, isn't it? Lovely expression, isn't it?
Yes. I was trying to think. I was like, what does PS stand for? And when you answered,
so
well
funny. He's facing the east.
Yes.
And yet a lot of them face the opposite direction.
Okay.
To minister to the flock. So he's facing this way. Interesting, isn't it? So there's a lot. There's one behind. There's Thomas Finnegan, private U.S. Army.
Oh,
World War II. No,
Oh.
I just seen that now. Just like
okay.
myself, you know.
Yeah, that's very similar to the stones you'd see in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C., or Arlington, Virginia. There's a whole field of just these, and they're all polished white. You can see this is, been weathered. But I went to Arlington when I was a kid, and it's just a huge field of these.
interesting.
So I wonder they must have made the same style for here, I would guess.
So it's not a military graveyard, so that makes it more unique in the sense that you don't expect to find things like that. You see. So really, sometimes it's surprising what you find on headstones. So we'll have a look at Marie Walker. There we are. Apparently everybody came from Europe to paint her portrait painting. Marie Walker, that's her there. That's an unmarked grave. I have a photograph of her there. I put that stick there. I had a photograph on it at one stage, but just wearing the hair, isn't it, really?
Right.
I haven't got. I'll just give you if I can find a photograph of it there. Marie, that's it, Marie Ulick. That's it, 1958, isn't it? The Abbey Rebel. So this circle is called the Old O'Connell Circle. Daniel O'Connell died in 1847, and he spent 22 years in this section. But so we mentioned there's people in Glasnevin, but the sculptures. John Hogan is in Glasnevin, the sculptor. Spent 23 to 24 years in the Vatican. Thomas O'Farrell, Sir Thomas O'Farrell, another famous sculptor, is in Glasnevin, and Albert Power. But that one there, that's called the Heralding the Resurrection. That's the Hogan, the work of the Hogans. So the trumpet angel, and like I said, at some turning point in history, the dead will hear the voice of God and the sound of the trumpet for them to raise up, isn't it? So that's the work of the Hogan family. Just want to walk around and show you some other sculptures. It's interesting as well.
This is James Spring of Eccles Street, which is where Leopold Bloom lived on Eccles Street.
Very good, yeah. Didn't spot that, Eccles Street, yeah.
If Leopold Bloom were a real person, they might have known each other.
Might have, yeah. It's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's an angel over here. So you have, although we said saddened angels over there, this one here is called Vigilance. And you've got to walk around, I had to walk around this circle a couple of times, find out what is she looking at, you see, why is she called Vigilance? So we'll have a look, and my interpretation I'm going to give you now in a few minutes.
All right.
So that's the Italian section there, isn't it?
See, yeah.
They're the Italian crypts. I believe they were £5 back in the day, weren't they? That's 50,000 back in the day.
Oh my God.
So this was quite the wealthiest part of the cemetery, you know.
Yes.
I believe McCann is in Ulysses.
James McCann.
I'm just going on Vivian Nygaard's book.
Then he definitely is. If she says he is.
Yeah.
She is more knowledgeable than me.
I'm not sure whether that was the one that only had the waterway systems, water with the canals. He had a furniture factory, something like that. But that's another day's work, isn't it? Yeah. That's McCann's. So you've got the likes of. I love that one there. That there is called the Good Samaritan.
That's a beautiful stone.
McCormick, Dr. McCormick, a member of the Independent Order of Odd Fellows. But I love that piece of work there. It's an act of human kindness. That's the assailant with a stick. He's gone off to worship to the walls in Jerusalem, more just in prayer than in the needs of his fellow man. And this is a stranger. An act of human kindness. The trees represent acts of righteousness, the palm trees. It protrudes you because apparently the Order of Odd Fellows believe that good works should stand out. You see, I think Conor Dodd mentioned that. He's a local historian. He's a Glasnevin resident historian. He mentions that.
Gorgeous.
Now this one here is called Vigilance. That's the work of Sir Thomas Farrell. I came across that word and it says, why is she called Vigilance? Watchfulness. What's she watching?
She's watching for the second coming of Christ.
She could be.
What do you think?
That's a good interpret. Didn't hear that one. I'm going to take it around. I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Because she's literally watching something. You walk around to the gate. This is the main gate into this circle, the Old O'Connell Circle. So my computer, just pass by my computer. But
I have a still photo of him. We'll have to use that one.
My computer. So this is the main gate into the chapel, the Old O'Connell Circle. Now if you stand at this gate,
yes,
this is the only interpretation I can find as to why she's called vigilance or watchfulness. You stand at the gate.
Okay.
Have a look at her now.
All right. She's looking over here.
All eyes are literally on that gate. Is she the keeper of the souls? I don't know.
Yeah. I like that one.
She could be the keeper of the
That's
stones. She
excellent.
could be anything. It's a nice piece of work, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah.
And you've got Thomas Farrell's work there as well. See the angel, the female,
Yes.
putting on immortality.
Yes.
Her feet are lifting off. She's called a floating female.
Mm.
So this is the old O'Connell circle. That's John Hogan is in here. Dorothy Sigerson, Shorter. The patriotic poet is in here as well. And George Sigerson from County Tyrone, he's here as well, the daddy.
Okay.
So some interesting people.
And
here.
O'Connell would have been in here originally.
For 22 years
And
while they
then
were
they-
building the round tower.
And they put him in there.
Yeah. It's an interesting section, isn't it? There's a lot of
Magnificent,
history in
yeah.
there. John Hogan and all this. You see. It's a nice mixed bag, this one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So as you said, the sculptures are very meaningful, aren't they? So you've got
Absolutely.
the reverse torch, John Dunnigan's reverse torch, the jeweler, he's there as well. So that's, you could, I suppose you could, there's a story on each of these
Oh, yeah.
sculptures, isn't it really?
Mm-hmm.
And their interpretation.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Martin.
How about it? Time for a cup of tea.
There's a very nice cafe here.
There's a nice
Yes.
cup of tea over there.
Would you yeah.
Yeah,
Could we treat you to a cup of tea?
yeah, we'll have a cup of tea.
All
yeah.
right.
No bother.